contract that could bring LeBron home. LeBron James may be closer than ever to making the most emotional decision of his legendary career, and one massive contract in Cleveland may have just changed everything. The Cavaliers did not simply give Donovan Mitchell a 4-year, $273 million extension. They may have handed LeBron James the clearest reason yet to return home for one final championship chase. Mitchell could have waited another year and positioned himself for an even larger Supermax deal, but he signed immediately. He sacrificed potential money, removed every question about his future, and sent a powerful message across the NBA. Cleveland is not rebuilding. Cleveland is preparing to win now, and LeBron is watching. For months, the Cavaliers have quietly been building a runway for the Kings' possible third arrival. Mitchell committed long-term. James Harden reportedly created additional financial flexibility. Cleveland's front office preserved enough room to pursue another superstar without tearing apart the entire roster. These were not random moves. They appear connected, calculated, and designed around one enormous possibility: bring LeBron James back to Ohio. At 41 years old, LeBron cannot afford to join a team that needs several seasons to become competitive. His next destination must already have star power, playoff experience, financial flexibility, and a realistic path toward another finals appearance. Cleveland can now point to Mitchell's signature and say something no rumor can guarantee: their franchise player is staying. But this potential homecoming is not just about basketball. It is about legacy. LeBron delivered Cleveland its first NBA championship in 2016, completing one of the greatest redemption stories in sports history. Returning again could give his career the perfect final chapter, but only if this roster is truly ready. That is where the controversy begins. Can LeBron, Mitchell, and Harden actually share the ball? Is there enough defense, shooting, and depth to survive the Eastern Conference? Or is Cleveland building the most emotional reunion in NBA history without solving the basketball problems that could destroy it? Where are you watching from today? Comment your city and country below. Press 1 if you believe LeBron should return to Cleveland, or press 2 if you think he should choose another team. Subscribe now, because the next move could change the entire NBA. Mitchell's decision was bigger than money. Donovan Mitchell's extension shocked people because of the size, but the timing may have mattered even more than the total value. Mitchell did not need to make this decision immediately. He still had security, leverage, and the possibility of earning significantly more money by waiting. Yet the moment Cleveland was allowed to offer the contract, he signed. That urgency changed the meaning of the deal. This was not simply a superstar protecting his financial future. It looked like a superstar helping his franchise establish stability before the rest of the summer became chaotic. Cleveland needed Mitchell's commitment before it could seriously approach LeBron James. Without that signature, every promise made to LeBron would have carried uncertainty. Mitchell could have left, requested a trade, or entered another negotiation later. Instead, Cleveland can now present something permanent. Mitchell is under contract for the most important remaining years of his prime. The structure of the agreement makes a future trade expensive and unlikely. His commitment tells potential teammates that the Cavaliers are not pretending to compete while secretly preparing for another rebuild. That matters when the player being recruited is LeBron James. LeBron has spent his career studying organizations, contracts, front offices, and championship windows. He understands that verbal promises can disappear after one difficult season. He has watched talented rosters collapse because one star became unhappy or one executive changed direction. At this stage of his career, he cannot gamble on uncertainty. Mitchell's signature reduces that gamble. Cleveland president Kobe Altman has already described Mitchell as more than the team's best player. He sees him as an ambassador and recruiter, someone whose presence makes other stars believe Cleveland is a serious destination. That statement reveals how the Cavaliers view this contract internally. They were not only paying for points, assists, and playoff performances, they were paying for credibility. And credibility is exactly what Cleveland needs in its pursuit of LeBron. For years, the Cavaliers have lived between two identities. They are the franchise LeBron made famous, but they are also trying to prove they can succeed without depending entirely on him. Mitchell helped them create that independent identity. Now, strangely, his commitment may be the reason LeBron feels comfortable returning. The Cavaliers are no longer asking LeBron to rescue an empty franchise. They are asking him to join a team that already belongs to another superstar. That difference could determine everything. Harden's sacrifice changed the entire plan. While Mitchell's contract attracted the headlines, James Harden's financial decision may have quietly opened the door Cleveland needed most. Harden reportedly declined a valuable player option, giving the Cavaliers more flexibility during the most important free agency period in recent franchise history. At first glance, that decision looked risky. Veteran stars rarely walk away from guaranteed money unless they believe another agreement is coming. Harden has spent years protecting his value, controlling his future, and making calculated career moves. He would not surrender financial security without understanding what Cleveland was attempting to build. The Cavaliers appear to be constructing their summer in stages. First, Harden's salary is temporarily removed from the equation. Then Mitchell signs an extension below the larger contract he could have pursued later. Those two decisions create a cleaner financial picture, while Cleveland evaluates its chances of signing LeBron. After that pursuit is resolved, the Cavaliers could return to Harden and negotiate a new deal. That strategy requires trust from everyone involved. Harden must trust the front office to reward his cooperation. Mitchell must trust that Cleveland will use its flexibility wisely. The organization must trust that LeBron is genuinely considering a return rather than simply using Cleveland as leverage in negotiations with other teams. No part of this is guaranteed. Yet the willingness of two established stars to align their financial decisions suggests that conversations have already gone deeper than public rumors. Players do not usually rearrange millions of dollars around a completely imaginary plan. They may not know LeBron's final answer, but they clearly believe the possibility is serious enough to prepare for. That preparation also creates pressure. Once a front office begins shaping contracts around one superstar, failure becomes more expensive. If LeBron chooses another team, Cleveland must still repair the roster, re-sign Harden, and justify why it created so much flexibility. The Cavaliers cannot afford to spend the entire offseason waiting while other useful players disappear from the market. That is the hidden danger behind the excitement. Cleveland is building a runway, but the plane may never land. Still, the Cavaliers seem willing to accept that risk because the reward could transform the Eastern Conference. A team featuring LeBron, Mitchell, Harden, and Evan Mobley would instantly become one of the most watched and debated rosters in basketball. The offensive talent would be enormous. The experience would be unmatched, and the expectations would become brutal. Harden's sacrifice did not bring LeBron to Cleveland by itself, but it turned a sentimental fantasy into a financially possible move. In the NBA, that is often the moment when rumors begin becoming real negotiation. The sweep that forced Cleveland to choose. Cleveland's entire offseason strategy can be traced back to one painful ending. A playoff sweep that exposed every weakness the Cavaliers believed they had already solved. They entered the postseason believing they had finally escaped the rebuilding stage. Mitchell had proven he could carry the offense. Mobley continued developing into an elite two-way force. Harden gave the roster another veteran creator. Cleveland reached a level it had not experienced since LeBron's previous era. Then, the season ended without a single victory in the conference final. A sweep creates a special kind of pressure. Losing a competitive 7-game series allows a team to believe it was one adjustment away. Getting eliminated in 4 straight games creates a different message. It suggests the opponent understood the matchup better, executed more consistently, and exposed flaws that could not be hidden. The Cavaliers had 2 choices. They could break apart the roster, trade major pieces, and begin adjusting their timeline. Or they could decide the group was close enough to deserve one more aggressive move. Cleveland chose aggression. Instead of treating the sweep as proof that the core had failed, the front office treated it as evidence that the roster needed one additional force. That is where LeBron enters the story. He is not being considered as a symbolic retirement attraction. The Cavaliers appear to believe he could solve some of the exact problems that ended their season. LeBron would add size, playmaking, leadership, and control during high-pressure possessions. He would give Cleveland another player capable of reading playoff defenses in real time. He would also reduce the burden on Mitchell and Harden, especially late in games when every possession becomes slower and more physical. But the sweep also raises questions LeBron alone cannot answer. Cleveland struggled defensively against elite perimeter attacks. Its spacing became inconsistent. Too many players needed the ball to produce their best offense. Adding another dominant creator could improve decision-making, but it could also make the roles even more complicated. That is why the Cavaliers' decision is so fascinating. They looked at a humiliating loss and did not panic. They doubled down. Mitchell recommitted. Harden expressed a desire to stay. The front office protected flexibility. Instead of allowing defeat to fracture the locker room, Cleveland used it to create a shared mission. The message became simple: unfinished business. For Mitchell, the sweep was not the reason to leave, it was the reason to return. For Harden, it was not evidence that the experiment had failed. It was proof that the team needed another chance. And for LeBron, it may have revealed a roster desperate enough to listen to him, talented enough to support him, and experienced enough to understand that time is running out. The salary cap chess matched behind the rumor. The emotional side of LeBron returning to Cleveland is easy to understand. The financial side is where the real story becomes complicated. NBA teams cannot simply collect superstars because the players want to join each other. Every contract affects the luxury tax, roster flexibility, trade restrictions, and the ability to sign supporting players. Under the league's increasingly strict financial system, one poorly structured deal can destroy an entire championship plan. Cleveland understands that Mitchell's extension is enormous, but it was reportedly designed to grow gradually rather than immediately consume every available dollar. That structure gives the Cavaliers more flexibility during the years when a LeBron partnership would matter most. Harden's decision to decline his option creates additional short-term room. Other contracts could also be moved if Cleveland needs to complete the puzzle. Jarrett Allen's name has appeared in speculation for that reason. Allen is a valuable center, but his salary and role may become part of a larger calculation. If Cleveland needs more flexibility, draft assets, or a different positional fit, Allen could become the piece used to reshape the roster. Trading him would be painful because he protects the rim, rebounds, and gives the Cavaliers size. But building around multiple expensive stars often requires sacrificing a player who would normally be considered essential. That is the cost of chasing LeBron. The Cavaliers are not only deciding whether he can help them win, they are deciding how much of the current roster they are willing to change in order to make room for him. Every move creates another consequence. Trading size could improve spacing but weaken the defense. Keeping the entire front court could preserve rim protection but make the offense too crowded. Other teams face similar problems. Golden State can offer the possibility of LeBron playing beside Stephen Curry, one of the most dangerous offensive partnerships imaginable. But the Warriors would need to solve their own financial and roster complications. Miami has history, culture, and familiarity, but creating the required space would be difficult. Philadelphia, Denver, and Minnesota all present basketball arguments, yet each would need major structural changes. Cleveland's advantage is not that its situation is perfect. Its advantage is that the Cavaliers appear to have planned for this possibility earlier than everyone else. Their stars have already made financial decisions that support the pursuit. Their front office has positioned contracts around flexibility. Their emotional pitch is already built into LeBron's history. That combination makes Cleveland dangerous. The Cavaliers are playing a high-level chess game where every contract represents a piece. Mitchell's extension was the first major move. Harden's decision was the second. A possible trade could be the third. LeBron's answer would be checkmate, or the moment the entire strategy collapses. The basketball fit could ruin the dream. The idea of LeBron James, Donovan Mitchell, and James Harden sharing the same floor sounds terrifying. 3 elite creators, 3 experienced scorers, and 3 players capable of controlling an entire game would give Cleveland incredible offensive power. But basketball is not played on a list of names. The biggest concern is role definition. LeBron has always been most effective when he controls the offense, reads the defense, and decides where the ball should go. Harden also prefers operating as the primary creator, using screens and isolation possessions to manipulate defenders. Mitchell is a devastating scorer who needs opportunities to attack and build rhythm. There is only one ball. Someone would have to sacrifice touches. Someone would need to become a more active off-ball player. Someone would have to defend at a higher level than recent seasons have shown. If those adjustments do not happen, Cleveland could become a collection of famous players rather than a functioning championship team. Spacing creates another problem. Mobley and Allen provide defense and rebounding, but playing both can reduce driving lanes. If LeBron, Harden, and Mitchell are attacking the paint while 2 traditional big men occupy space near the basket, opposing defenses may collapse without fear. Cleveland would need more shooting around its stars, especially from the forward positions. Defense may be the greatest concern. Mitchell competes, but he is undersized. Harden can defend certain matchups, yet his consistency has varied. LeBron can still produce dominant defensive moments, but asking a 41-year-old superstar to carry a major two-way burden for an entire season would be unrealistic. The Cavaliers would need Mobley to become the foundation of an elite defense and would need reliable perimeter defenders beside him. Critics believe these problems make Cleveland a poor destination for LeBron's final championship attempt. They argue that the emotional story is stronger than the tactical plan. Returning home would create unforgettable headlines, but another playoff loss could damage the ending. LeBron is trying to build. If he wants a 5th championship, he may need shooting, speed, defense, and younger legs more than another group of ball-dominant stars. Cleveland's response would be that talent creates solutions. LeBron has adapted throughout his career. Harden has transformed from scorer to facilitator. Mitchell has shown a willingness to share responsibility. Great players can sacrifice when the goal is clear enough. The question is whether they would sacrifice early or wait until the postseason exposes the problem. That distinction could decide whether this becomes a championship team or one of the most disappointing experiments in NBA history. The legacy factor no other team can match. Every team pursuing LeBron can offer basketball reasons. Only Cleveland can offer the ending that connects every part of his career. LeBron grew up in Akron, became a national phenomenon in Ohio, and entered the NBA as the face of the Cavaliers. His first departure created anger that followed him for years. His return in 2014 became one of the biggest stories in sports. 2 years later, he delivered the championship Cleveland had waited generations to celebrate. That history cannot be recreated in Golden State, Miami, Philadelphia, Denver, or Minnesota. A third chapter with the Cavaliers would bring the story full circle. LeBron would not arrive as the young savior or the superstar returning to repair a broken relationship. He would arrive as an aging legend choosing where to spend the final competitive years of his career. That decision would carry enormous emotional power. He could mentor Cleveland's younger stars, compete beside Mitchell, and potentially finish his career near the place where it began. Every home game would feel like part of a farewell tour, but the basketball would still matter. Cleveland would not be asking him to play ceremonial minutes on a rebuilding team. The Cavaliers would be asking him to help chase another title. That distinction is important. LeBron has always cared about controlling his legacy, but he has also refused to separate legacy from winning. Returning home only makes sense if he believes the Cavaliers can compete deep into the playoffs. Sentiment may open the door, but basketball must convince him to walk through it. There is also the possibility of Bronny James becoming part of the plan. Reports and speculation have suggested Cleveland could explore a way to bring Bronny with his father. For LeBron, playing beside his son has already been one of the most meaningful achievements of his career. Continuing that experience in Cleveland would combine family, history, and basketball in a way no other franchise could match. But that possibility creates debate. Some fans see Bronny as a beautiful part of the story. Others worry that a championship roster should not be constructed around family symbolism. Every roster spot matters, especially for a team investing heavily in aging stars. LeBron must decide what kind of ending he wants. Does he prioritize the cleanest basketball fit? Does he chase the most talented roster? Does he choose the city where the story means the most? Or does he search for a situation that somehow offers all three? Cleveland may not have the fewest flaws, but it has the deepest emotional connection. For a player whose career has always been larger than basketball, that advantage may be impossible to measure and impossible to ignore. One social media move changed everything. LeBron James still has not announced his decision, but one small action sent the NBA into chaos. He reportedly liked a post encouraging him to return to Cleveland. For most players, that would mean little. For LeBron, every online move becomes evident. Fans study his likes, captions, interviews, and public appearances, searching for clues about his future. The reaction proved how serious Cleveland's position has become. The Cavaliers do not have a commitment, but they have prepared for one. Donovan Mitchell signed long-term. James Harden created financial flexibility. Cleveland kept trade options available and positioned itself to wait longer than most teams. That patience is risky. Every day Cleveland waits. Useful free agents disappear and trade opportunities become harder to complete. If LeBron chooses another destination, the Cavaliers could be left with fewer ways to improve the roster. Still, his interaction with the Cleveland Post kept hope alive. LeBron understands how fans and reporters will interpret everything he does. Whether the like was intentional or casual, it pushed the Cavaliers back into the center of the conversation. Cleveland is no longer being discussed as a sentimental possibility. It is now viewed as one of the strongest contenders for his signature, but nothing is official. Until LeBron speaks, every rumor remains incomplete. One social media move cannot guarantee a homecoming, but it showed that the possibility is real enough to keep the entire league watching. Cleveland has made its final pitch. The Cavaliers have done almost everything possible without receiving LeBron's answer. They secured Donovan Mitchell, created financial flexibility through James Harden, protected their trade options, and built a roster featuring star power, playoff experience, and Evan Mobley's defensive presence. Most importantly, Cleveland created stability. The organization can promise LeBron that Mitchell is staying and that the roster will not depend entirely on him. Mitchell can lead the scoring. Harden can share the playmaking. Mobley can anchor the defense. At 41, that balance could be exactly what LeBron needs. He would still be essential, but he would not need to dominate every possession or rescue the team every night. A reduced workload could help him remain effective through another long postseason. However, the roster still has problems. Cleveland needs more shooting, perimeter defense, and players willing to succeed without controlling the ball. If those weaknesses remain, the Cavaliers could repeat the same playoff failures that ended their previous season. LeBron must now compare Cleveland with other contenders. Golden State offers Stephen Curry. Miami offers familiarity. Other teams may offer younger rosters or cleaner basketball fits, but none can offer Cleveland's history. LeBron is not simply choosing another team. He may be choosing the final setting of his career and the city that will witness his last championship pursuit. Cleveland has built the pitch. Mitchell's contract made it credible. Harden's sacrifice made it possible. Now the final move belongs to LeBron. The final decision is bigger than basketball. A LeBron James return would create one of the greatest endings in sports history, but emotion alone cannot deliver another championship. Strategically, Cleveland's greatest advantage would be shared responsibility. Mitchell could carry the scoring, Harden could create offense, Mobley could lead the defense. LeBron could conserve his energy and choose the moments when the team needs him most. But Cleveland still needs shooting, athletic defenders, and role players willing to move without the ball. Championships are not won by collecting famous names. They are won when stars sacrifice and every player understands his role. That is the biggest lesson from this story. Mitchell committed long-term. Harden created flexibility. Cleveland's front office took major risks. If LeBron returns, he must also sacrifice touches, minutes, and personal control for the team's larger goal. Fans should also remember the human side of this decision. LeBron must consider winning, family, health, legacy, and peace of mind. Returning to Cleveland would not guarantee a championship. Choosing another team would not erase everything he already gave the city. He delivered Cleveland its first NBA title and created memories that will never disappear. A third chapter should be viewed as an opportunity, not an obligation. Now the decision is yours. Press 1 if LeBron should finish his career in Cleveland, or press 2 if another team gives him a better chance to win. Like this video, share it with another NBA fan, and subscribe for the next update, because LeBron's final decision could change the entire league.